Hello, everybody. It's I, Claude Bawles, here for just a small hangout, Bawles small hangout, and in the chat is Justin. He's saying he's itching for balls, which is quite an interesting comment. Well, you can get your itch scratched here. I assure you. And if not from us, we'll go to DAL and visit. No, I won't say anymore. And Aiden and Big Bad Mama are on the screen. How are you both? Yeah.
Doing good.
You brought
Doing good.
hangouts, Claude, and they're small.
Oh my God, it's Stephen. Did you hear the Stephen
No, I'm
show
all right.
today?
Thanks. How about you guys?
Good.
Did you hear
No,
the
I didn't.
Proverbs
Why?
Guy show? Oh, well, I was banned from going on, and then a bit later, some Black American woman called Incontinentia Buttocks came on, and they said it was me. I mean, fancy saying that I was putting on a different accent. But anyway, Incontinentia managed to stay on for a little while and have a bit of a laugh. So that was all very good. I would like her to come on my show sometime, if that could be
She could run
arranged.
your show.
Yeah, she could run it. Yeah, maybe I will arrange for Incontinentia Futtix to come on this show. Yes. But anyway,
Aiden, did you see that show with Proverbs Guy that we
I love
responded
that you
to?
live so rent free in their heads at this point.
Right. Aiden, did you see that show that Proverbs Guy did that we were responding to? Can Aiden hear me? Can you hear me, Claude?
Yes, I can hear you.
No, I can hear you. I'm sorry. There's a bit of a delay on my end. That's my bad. I apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, sort yourself out. God is not blessing you with the blessing of.
I thought we did a pretty good rebuttal job, Claude. Until Dustin kind of, when he showed up, he threw me for a loop because it was right in the middle of my presentation.
Yes, you did a very good job because you are better at science than me. You know, I mean, I have some basic grasp, but you understand that, and because these questions, these gotcha questions, are just designed to throw you off the loop, as it were. And I don't know where they've got them from, but they're all these just crazy things that possibly even a real scientist can't answer because they're not relevant. But so you do a very good job, Big Mama, at answering those, I think. Anyway,
thank you.
Yeah.
No, she does.
Aiden, I think you're
She does a
roboting.
great job of doing that.
Thanks.
Test 1 2 1 2.
Yes, you might be breaking up a little bit, but you're okay now.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a comment on their stream. It was a person saying question for evil, and they put evil in quote all caps, solutionists. And I didn't read a single word after that, because how am I supposed to take somebody seriously who's going to immediately disqualify another person's position by saying silly things like that? Like, how serious would Dustin take me if I was like, question for these Christian quote unquote charlatans? It's like, yeah, of course you're not going to take me. Yeah. Questions for these creationtards over here. Like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, don't give me any ideas, please.
Hi, Deviant.
Hi.
How are you?
Hello, Deviant. Welcome.
I'm fine. It's 4 a.m. or so here.
Oh goodness!
Oh my gosh! Go to bed.
Is that the Sphinx?
I will not.
Is that a Sphinx? Do I see a Sphinx on there? Do I?
No, it's
your avatar looked from a distance.
It's Hatshepsut, but it's another picture than the one I usually have, because that one's on my old computer that I haven't transferred everything yet because I'm lazy.
Hi, Captain Desk. Hi, Justin.
Yeah,
who used that? You know who used that term evolution in that stream of Proverbs Guy was Proverbs Guy's cousin, Yassam. And it's ironic she's a flat earther and she's talking about evolution.
Well, Mark did a really good job touching the flat earth thing. I think he hit the nail on the head on Gangster Ghost's stream yesterday. He said, flat earthers remind him a lot of Gnosticism, just because there's a certain subset of people who want this obscure esoteric knowledge that only a small fraction of a percentile of people allegedly have access to. It basically just appeals to the innate human need to feel special and unique and distinct from other people.
Oh, yes.
And I mean,
Let me ask
Christianity
you
is
this.
the ultimate appeal to that, in the sense that, just one sec, I'm sorry, Big Bad Mama.
Yeah, no,
Christianity
that's
is the ultimate appeal to that aspect of people, because it's basically saying, well, you're a good and you're a pure person and you're righteous, and then there's all these horrible worldly hogs and swine out there that you've got to wade your way through in order to deal with. And it's just, I just think it's just nothing but a naked appeal to that part of our psychology. Go ahead.
If you're a flat earther, is it really that much different from, I mean, if you're a true Bible literalist, wouldn't you be a flat earther? And how much different really is flat eartherism as opposed to just straight Christianity? I mean, is one really more wacky than the other?
Well,
I think that one is unfalsifiable. Like Christianity, the notion that a God exists is an unfalsifiable hypothesis, whereas flat Earth is a falsified. I do agree with your general premise in that they both crave not only that special uniqueness that I was talking about before, but yes, they both do have this idea that, even though it isn't obvious that what we believe in is true, that's just because all those other people just haven't opened their minds or opened their hearts sufficiently to understand our point of view. To which point, I'll reply to somebody who says that to me. I mean, if you open your mind up to Nazism, wouldn't you be more susceptible to Hitler's talking points? I mean, obviously, if you open yourself up and fully are receptive towards ideas, even if they're absurd, yes, you're going to be more likely to ascribe to those absurd ideas. So when someone says to you, you just need to open your heart up more, what they're really telling you, at least in my opinion, is you just need to give more credence to my idea, even though I haven't given you a reason to.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I was going to, but it would have been worse.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine, Deviant. You always give yourself so much crap for not being an eloquent person, but for someone whose English is their second language, you're a very eloquent speaker.
You speak better than we do.
Yeah, what I can't understand, like on the Proverbs channel, I can't understand it, and I'm not talking behind their back because I'm not allowed on. Well, not as Claude anyway. So they're all linked by the Mr. Hovind thing, and he says he's not a flat earther, and that's fine. And then some guy comes along from Greece with a telescope and trots out the flat earth thing, and they take it seriously. And I can understand why nobody there is prepared to stand up to him on that subject at all. And they're not. They just go along with it. And now to hear that Yasam, or whatever her name is, Yahweh, where's that name come from? Yahweh, Yasam?
Yahweh and awesome.
All right. Oh, well, that's a very humble name. And they won't tackle, they listen to this nonsense, even though he doesn't always go directly into it. But, it begs the question. Every time he brings up something, I would just love to say, does that apply on a flat earth as well? But no.
Well, I feel like the reason why they don't challenge Achilles on that is the same reason why so many of the other panelists on that show are so afraid to challenge Stump on literally anything, because they recognize that, even though Achilles in some aspects is intellectually, I wouldn't call him an intellectual powerhouse like Dustin does, but I would certainly say in some aspects he's more educated than a lay person is, and has demonstrated that. I just think he's emotionally a very immature person. Like emotionally, I don't think he handles confrontation well. I don't think that he takes any sort of challenge well. The fact that he labels every challenge against him as an attack shows that well enough to me. So I just think it's them recognizing that they don't want to touch that topic with him because they don't want him to get upset with them, because they have this idea that they all need to be united in this attack against other people on a screen in this war of ideas that they have. So it's basically them just allowing somebody that they know is peddling false ideas to keep peddling them for the interests of peddling the ultimate true idea, which is apparently Jesus in this context. I don't know.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting because it goes to show that even these people are supposed defenders of the truth, that obvious truth all of a sudden becomes very pragmatic the second they need to try and maintain some sort of peace within their community.
Yes, you're
Yeah, I
probably
think that's
right.
well said,
Yeah.
Aidan. I think Achilles and Stump are two of the more serious people that are there, and probably two of the more forceful personalities. And so I think the others are just kind of subdued into, if it was something that Dustin said, or maybe even Lupin, they might challenge it. But those guys are like serious, maybe even angry people. And I just don't think they want to deal with them. As Aidan said, they would rather just kind of deflect to the religion question and not deal with the flat earth thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same, actually. Since I don't watch the show, it's not my thing.
You're not
But I
missing
have,
much.
of course, seen some of it via the stuff that you put out there, and the immediate impression is that those two guys have very, very loud voices, and I don't know about. I don't think they would handle. I mean, I'm just guessing, first impression thing. I don't think they handle conflict the same way. I would imagine that Achilles, as Aidan said, much more emotionally inclined.
Emotionally stunted.
Stump, yeah, for sure. Not able to, perhaps. Oh my goodness! I was about to say something, a Scientology term.
Oh my
I have
goodness.
indoctrinated myself.
You were about to say Tom Cruise, were you? Tom Cruise?
No, I was going to use
Interbulated?
That too, but he wouldn't be he would be interbulated, but he wouldn't be able to keep his TRs in his
It
training
sounds
routines.
my kind of thing that I get up to when I'm got bored. Have
Interbulation?
a bit of interbulation, with the Claude. Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
everybody needs to do that now and again.
Yeah, occasionally,
You might have
it's
a
sinful.
misunderstood word.
It's a bit sinful, but you only live once.
Us with your misunderstood words.
Yeah. Aidan
those
says
can
he's
make you
going to
a
be
psychopath.
back. Yes, Aidan is coming back at some stage, so that's
Good.
all good. He's a bit of a character. I wonder. I did send the message to the gangster, but maybe he is busy tonight. Or maybe he's gone to bed because he's had such
That's
a
what
big
I'm
day.
thinking.
He's hosting so many shows, and just each one he does is better and better. He really comes to the fore on those shows.
Right. I gave him. I talked to him on the phone and stuff. We talk on the phone now and again.
Oh,
And
good.
I gave him a little piece of advice today about the chat comments that he puts up. I told him, you don't need to put up every chat comment, but the ones you do put up, you need to let people read, and you need to put them on there for longer, because sometimes they just kind of flash on there and then disappear.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, it's funny because sometimes I can read on my StreamYard and not comment, but if I open up, I'm on the computer, I open up a new window, I can silence and watch it on YouTube, then I can make a comment. It's funny like that. One of the
Yeah,
but
I've not been able to comment. I don't know how to
no.
comment on Restream, I don't think.
Yeah, if you're not on your phone, you can, because you can do it on your computer and just you do a new one. Yeah. So, but other than that, yeah, it's quite good. Oh, Aiden has put a comment, and he says, "Sorry, I got called away. I'll come on the next show if you're done before I come back." So that's very nice of him to say that. That's okay, no problem. If you got called away, that means the pizza is ready. I know.
Yeah, the pizza delivery showed up. Yeah,
Oh,
Logan's
my
doing
goodness.
such a great job. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's
Yeah,
coming in
I was
leaps and bounds. Yeah, confident. It's very good.
right. I was gonna say he compared to the times he showed up on Mark's show and several other shows where I've seen him. It's so good to see him using his voice, giving strength to his own
Right.
words and like
Expressing himself,
yeah,
being
it's
creative.
really awesome. Right. It's really awesome. It makes me
And
happy.
he's loving it. I mean, look at how many videos he's putting out. I mean, he's like, there's been a creative, I don't know what you would put it, but I mean, it's been released in him, and he's he's just
It's
going
like
with it.
an orgasm of creativity, I think, is
Right.
flooded
Yeah.
the screens. He really goes for it. Sometimes I think I'm overdoing it, and then I look at the numbers. Quite incredible. Yeah, but Big Bad Mama, you are going very well with Father Hoven's paddle on the fridge and the carnival attraction. With the carnival attraction, is that the carnival mind? Is that what we're talking about?
No,
Not the
it's
carnival mind. Is that different?
no,
word,
it's
is
not
it?
the carnival mind.
Mind. Oh, because otherwise you could get the Stump as your guest.
Stump would not get views. Nobody cares about
No.
Stump.
You would just sit there and regurgitate the Bible verses.
Right. I
Oh,
mean, my
really?
Steven shorts, my shorts about that show do not do well.
No.
Not that I'm going to stop doing them, because I think that there's some interesting stuff when,
Yeah.
Achilles is talking about fornicating and excrement, and I need to put that in shorts. I need to put that.
What, you need to put excrement in shorts or fornicating in shorts? I'm
Sorry,
not
that
very
came
good with
out.
the
That
language.
came out really bad.
It can sound very different to me. My English being my second language.
I'm going to have to re-listen to what I just said there, because it wasn't right.
Or was it?
Roy Garcia says hello. I don't know if anybody knows Roy, but I'm saying back in the stream, Roy
Oh,
Garcia.
hi, Roy.
Yeah, so hi, Roy. And I hope you're finding this interesting. We never know what's going to happen on this show. Yeah, but anyway, that's fine. We just have a good time and enjoy ourselves. And Roy said, "Ready for New Year's?" Yes, I'm ready. Are you other guys ready for New Year's?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That year went pretty quickly, though.
But as you get older, the year goes quicker.
Right.
That's one less Christmas, one less New Year's. Oh dear.
Oh.
Yeah, we're not spring chickens.
Mm-hmm. Now, explain your video. You got the paddle on the fridge, Kent Hoven's paddle on the fridge. What was he raving on that one about?
So the beginning of it was, of course, the comment. It was that video where he's saying, when I see those Christmas lights, all I see is a meter running. And then Sandra goes, Sandra goes, they're solar. And he goes, no. And she goes, yeah, they're solar. And he kind of like hems and haws a little bit and makes a joke and then goes back. And then he also tells this story about how he wasn't afraid. He wanted his father's respect, and he wanted this and this from his father. And he wasn't afraid to experience some pain because his father kept a paddle on the fridge. And so and that came at the very end of the video, implying that his dad beat the crap out of him like he beat the crap out of his kid.
Yeah.
It's still a very weird way of saying that. I wasn't afraid. Wait, what did you say? He wasn't afraid of his father's respect because he had. So he wasn't afraid of the respect.
You want to play it real quick? It's only a minute long.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I will. I've got it ready.
Can you do that, or Claude,
I can do it. Yeah, so that's good. I'll put it up. Just before I do that, Justin says off topic, but Big Bad Mama, did you ever meet up with Father Chuck when you're on vacay? Oh, that must be American for
Justin,
vacation.
I did stay in the same town as Father Chuck with the impression that I was going to, I'd made a reservation at a place to stay, and I intended to meet with him until the last moment, of course, and he just never contacted me. I tried to email him, and he kind of knew, I let him know when I was going to be in town. And he just disappeared, as everybody knows. He disappeared from everybody. So I don't take it personally. I just hope he's doing fine. And I hope everybody in his family is doing fine too. So yeah, I just hope he's taking a break and everything's okay.
Yeah. And then Roy says every year on New Year's Eve, he always watches New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest. Does anybody know that?
That used to be the Dick Clark Rocking Eve, and Dick Clark would count down the Times Square ball that would drop on New Year's in Times Square in New York City. And Ryan Seacrest took that over from Dick Clark when he passed away.
Wow!
They still do that does Claude have something to be afraid of for the New Year if they are going to drop
I'm thinking they're going to drop the balls.
Yeah.
I think that this year we might Gangster Ghost might have to do a New Year's show.
Drop the balls on New Year's.
The balls on New Year's. And then Tubian says, "I think that's a grumpy old man joke. His sense of humor tends to be rough on the exterior." Is that the joke about the paddle on the fridge or something?
Yeah, I didn't take it really as a joke. I don't know.
No, I think he's serious about it. He definitely was serious when he's beating the crap out of Eric for being frightened of the dentist age 7, which is just disgusting, And
we kind of know that he got it from his father. I mean, this isn't the first comment he's made about his father that's indicated corporal punishment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that most parents from time to time get exasperated and might give the kid a slap or something. But this formal, this out to the van thing, I don't. There's too many parents are up to that sort of thing nowadays. I think we know a bit better than that, I hope. And I'm not saying that a kid running out on the road, you might be a bit sort of grab them off the road, make sure they don't do that again. But for being scared of the dentist, that's where loving reassurance is required.
No, it's just evil. It's just evil.
Jesus,
I don't get how you can.
Jesus would have.
You can look.
Yeah. What would Jesus have done to a kid who was scared at the dentist? Slapped him around like that? No, he wouldn't. Well, he wouldn't have.
Dentist? What's that?
No, the dentist was where the kid. He was punished for being scared of the dentist, not for doing anything bad. No, not for smashing something up or deliberately disobey. It's because he couldn't he was frightened at the dentist. And
Hoban said, if you get scared again, I'm going to do it,
twice,
that much harder.
Yeah. Oh, Gangster's here as well.
I just want to rip his head off for those things. Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Have we ever heard of the Disney movie The Kid? I have deja vu there. Did someone ask that the other day or not? Roy is asking.
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. But I'm sure Ghost will, and he's on now, so he's in the comments. So we can ask Ghost. Oh, Roy Garcia says yes with Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Justin says it was the Ken's son with the the slightly not all there one.
That I'm not
but
sure
I wasn't
about.
sure. No, I'm not sure. But either way, it was terrible. Yeah, so
Right.
shouldn't have happened. Okay, right. Now here we go. I'm going to play this. It might not start at the right time, but this is the big bad mama, Father Hoven's paddle on the fridge. He must have had that paddle there because he was the last survivor of his platoon. I bet there was a few times that Kent wished he hadn't survived his platoon if he was going to be like that. But yeah, I know. I would have thought the same. Thank goodness many of us grew up in really loving families where that.
Apparently, it didn't work with the paddle because Kent's the way he is.
Yeah. No. Yes, he should have been. Yeah. Okay. Up. Here we go. I'm going to share it and then I'm going to play it. Can you see it on your screen? Yes, you can. Here we go.
Yes.
Listen, everybody. Boom. Play.
He hit the building, came halfway through, and
I think it's stopped, Claude.
Yeah.
Yep. What did you say?
It stopped.
It stopped. Oh, it stuttered, did it? Okay, I'm going to try again. All right, here we go.
okay,
They're solar.
right. No,
Most of them are solar.
okay. Told you a million
I
times
aim to please.
not to exaggerate. How can looking at a brass snake on a pole cure your snake bite? Did you ask the Lord to save you? Well, yeah. Did he promise he would? Yeah. Well, then quit calling him a liar. There is fornication among you. They've got a guy in their church living in adultery with his mother. I wanted to please my dad. He was Marine, 6'2", World War II, only survivor of his platoon, a Marine sergeant. I was afraid of losing my dad's favor. I was afraid of losing his fellowship. I was afraid of losing some pain on the backside because he had a paddle on top of the fridge. We got attacked by a whole flock of deer, and they hit the building, came halfway through, and died. We cut their heads off. Christmas lights. Everybody looks at it and sees the lights. You know what I see? That meter spinning like crazy, and I got to pay the electric bill. Okay.
They're solar.
That is brilliant, isn't it? That is wonderful. When I saw that, I thought, oh my goodness. Yes.
Notice how I edited that one with, I put some Sandra in there.
Yeah.
Oh, Aiden's here.
Aiden's back, and so I thought that was very. What was the bit about the cut the heads off the deer? Was he implying that Rudolph, and it was that to scare kids or something? Because he does say some inappropriate things.
He was showing the taxidermy heads on the wall, and he said, "Oh, well, they came through the building. They ran so far. They came through the building, and we cut their heads off." But I just thought it was kind of a weird thing to say. So
it's sort of weird, but it's typical because he always. I think it's an exaggeration, but he's always seems as though he delights in cruelty to animals. But
right,
I'd hope that is his sense of humor of sorts. So yeah, I'd hope so. But he really Yep.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the fact that he stated that he saw his meter spinning around like crazy the way he did before his wife corrected him, to me, is the penultimate example of Kent looking for a problem when one is not readily available for him. And it reminds me of the classic adage in life: if you look for a problem, you will always find one. So yes, Kent, if you go around looking for issues, of course you're going to find one. However, I'm sorry, this one isn't a real one.
I
look
see
at that look he's giving her.
You're only getting half ration tonight, woman.
Right.
Mr. Caribou Mr. Caribou says how the Kent stole Christmas with the 777 Club. That's quite good. I think
Oh,
that's
my
very
goodness.
good. And then he says, what happens here? Kent has to e-beg for every dollar his slaves spend. Yeah, well, that's right. And then, oh shit, Sandra corrected him. We'll be seeing number five soon. Well, you big bad mama, you get on okay with Sandra. So if that's the case, maybe you can become wife number 5.
Oh,
Is he
goodness.
yeah, that would be interesting. Yes, the whole thing about this cost of keeping as volunteers, which really annoys me, and maybe I've said it before, so I won't rave on about it. But when he puts up the cost of feeding them and housing them, he forgets that the houses were all built with donations and voluntary labor. So that doesn't cost a bunch, just a little bit of maintenance and fixing up any balls ups he's done. So then he talks about the electricity if they have a shower longer than 2 minutes and the food. And all that pales into comparison compared to the free labor he gets from these people. You know, if he gets $500 worth of labor a week from them and it costs him $100, he's making 400 out of them. So why does he have to bitch about a shower? I just don't understand that. And he has a hot tub himself. So.
Because he needs something to hold over everyone's head and makes them feel smaller.
Control.
Yeah, exactly. It's his way of enacting control. And to him, the work they are doing, that's what they are supposed to do. So him giving them food, even though it isn't him giving them that food or making the food or buying the food, is still a gift that they have to compensate him for. And it
Let me just ask you something, Claude. Let me just ask you something, Claude. All right. So, I know you're not necessarily familiar with the Bible, with you being a God-hating atheist and all that. But you ever heard the story of when Jesus, right before Jesus died, he ordered the apostles to pay that his feet may be perfumed and washed. You ever notice that part of the Bible? So, actually, if you look at it, it's like the scribes and the Pharisees. They lived a life far better than just your average person in the slums. I'm the scribe, and you're the guy in the slum, Claude. I'm sorry. You're not the one that's been anointed.
So, your feet are anointed on a daily basis, Kent?
Well, yes, we got a very good massage machine that I keep right next to the hot tub. So, yes, my feet are, in fact, anointed on a daily basis.
Is there anything else anointed, or is only the feet?
Well, I'm not going to get into that topic on the show, Claude. Me and you have already talked about this numerous times off the show. Now, you can get an anointing as well if you pay enough money to the 777 Club, all right? But before you pay that, you're not able to get anointed. And if you pay $10,000 or more to the 777 Club, you'll get a 3-minute shower every day instead of a 2-minute.
A shower of what? But anyway.
Well, we'll talk about that after the show, Claude.
Because you've talked about giraffes, Dr. Hoven, and what they do to attract a mate. And I was a bit worried that you might be demonstrating that in the lab or the hot tub of DAL.
You see, look at what these people are doing. Look at what these people are doing over here. We got people like Claude over here. He isn't actually making any arguments against Kent. He ain't actually making any arguments against Kent. He's just going and making dirty jokes with his dirty carnal mind. He ain't got any actual criticisms of Kent Hovind whatsoever. He's just using his carnal mind to spread hatred and filth.
Oh my goodness! But it's good to have heard Stump come on and tell us about the carnal mind. It was the last thing I was thinking about until he popped on. But yes,
well, did you see how hard he was going at it in the chat today? He and Lupin.
I was using the sword. I was using my keyboard sword as hard as I could earlier today. That's right. I was winning souls. I was winning souls to the Lord by constantly spouting Christian bumper stickers in the chat. That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah, I was very convinced by everything. I'm totally converted now. I'm kind of Christ-like, actually. You can call me.
Well, I said the words Jesus saves. I said the words Jesus saves, and that He's going to turn your heart of stone into a heart of flesh. And then, all the atheists just immediately converted and saw the light, because that's what Peter and Paul and the other apostles, that's all they had to do. They just had to go, oh, yeah, Jesus. And everyone was like, yeah, that's great.
Personally, it was the part about non-believers.
Well, they're full of hate. That's right. They're full of hate. Me expressing how they're nothing but demonic, hate-filled others rather than actual human being. That's not hateful. But me showing that they're critical of Ken Hovind and the things that they got to say, that's hate right there.
Oh yes, yeah, and I realized that after the 75th Bible verse, it really came to me like a flash, like a breakthrough.
Well, it's like with Mr. Miyagi, right? You ever watch Karate Kid? That's why Ken Hovind has all those people out there painting those fences and waxing his car and whatnot. Because if they do that enough times, their spiritual muscles, they're going to be strengthened, just like Danielson, just like his actual muscles were strengthened. I know that having your actual muscle strengthened actually, imparts like real world physical benefits and whatnot, but that's no good. You got to strengthen your spiritual muscles.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I heard one of Proverbs guys today say that the biggest highlight of the year, or like the second biggest highlight of his year, was getting baptized by Ken Hovind.
The second biggest.
Yeah, it was the second biggest. I think the first biggest was being on Proverbs guys show, but
when you say baptized, was that in the hot tub or was that outside in the lake?
I'm starting to see my year as pretty good, and I was rated at the beginning of the year.
Exactly. I mean, my year was like, I can name like 10,000 things that were better this year than that would have been.
Well, I just saying.
Front door.
Well, hold on a minute.
Oh, Steven's back. Oh, he's on pause.
Oh dear, what's happened there?
He's muted.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I got cut off. The death squad almost came to my house and killed me for being a Christian. I'm sorry, but I'm back now. I'm back. This is Stephen Bolin, by the way. This isn't Ken Hovind.
Yeah, no, I could.
We knew that.
Yeah.
All right. I was just double checking and making sure. I just wanted to say, the fact that the textbooks in school, they got one version of Jupiter where it's got a core, and they got another version of Jupiter that doesn't have a core. And I just want to say, I just can't believe how these people will just allow lies to go through with no hesitation. Oh, wait, you want to talk about the flat Earth for the next hour, Achilles? Oh, okay, buddy. Yeah, you can talk about the flat Earth for the next hour. That's okay. Anyways, I was just talking about how these horrible scientists, they just let overt lies go by with no challenge whatsoever. I just can't believe it.
Right. He says they don't have the complete picture, so they must be lies.
Yes, as opposed to the Bible, which is definitive about literally every subject that's ever been covered in all of human history. What a stupid standard to apply. Hey, Steven, where does the Bible talk about astrophysics? Oh, it doesn't? Well, I guess it's just lies then. According to your standards, it's just all filled with lies because it doesn't talk about the combustion engine.
Stephen, how's your fundraising go to buy Dr. Hovind's car? Is that coming along?
The Honda.
Yeah.
The Honda.
Well, it's going pretty good. I mean, I know that if you actually look at the market prices for that kind of used vehicle, you'll find that it's actually less than half the price of what I was asking for. But you need to understand, it's like buying a signed book from an author versus just a regular book on the shelf, because every time I drive that car, once I get it, I'll know the Dr. Hovind's ass was in this seat at one point.
Yeah, and I hope there's been no sort of code Browns going on.
He might have farted in this car once. I might have access to just a tiny little snifter of his fart odor.
Oh my goodness! Oh, and what do you think? Do you think they went out and had a good Christmas dinner somewhere? Have you heard anything about that, Stephen? If manna from heaven came down on Christmas Day?
Well, that's the only thing I eat for Christmas is manna from heaven, because everything else, let's be honest, I'm a Hebrew roots guy myself, so there's no pork. No pork allowed during Christmas. I mean, it's obviously unclean. As far as ham or turkey is concerned, I won't have any of those. I won't have any chicken because it reminds me of Atheist Junior. There's a Stephen Bolin joke for you. It's really funny. Anyways, Yeah, that's all I ate for Christmas was just manna that fell from heaven. Oh, I also had some of Kent Hovind's farts, but that was more a dessert.
Oh,
Did you have sex with your girlfriend, Stephen?
No porking
How
on
many times do
Christmas.
I gotta tell you, Big Bad Mama, okay? Just because we share a bed, okay? We share a bed and we've shared it for a prolonged period of time. And I mean, sure, I've been demonstrated to basically be a completely different person offline versus online, but I don't know why that would make you think that I'm having sex. You know, it's like that part where I kicked Aiden off of the show for calling me out on my bullshit, but then I said this is bullshit before I left the show. You know, kind of like that, because the rules only apply to him.
That was
Mr.
hilarious when he said bullshit.
It was the passion. It was the passion behind it. I've never heard him that legitimately passionate over anything besides that time that he yelled.
When he was
"This is
angry.
bullshit." Yeah, like when he was angry at me over the whole Jupiter core thing, I could just tell the fake anger was just dripping off of him. Like, let me just summon up some really upset feelings out of nowhere, out of the ether, because I think I've found one tiny little chink in Aiden's armor for his argument. Oh my goodness. That was fake that was fake anger. That was fake passion that was being summoned up there. But that was real when he said this is bullshit.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
voice of a man who had a plan and whose plan just utterly fell to pieces in front of him.
He was actually pretty passive aggressive to you yesterday, Claude, I thought. Or yesterday or the day before, when you were on the show and the atheist show.
Yes, yes.
He was condescending.
Yes, I was there I was hanging by a thread, you know, being booted off if I was disrespectful. Oh dear. We're so lucky today to have had both Dr. Hovind and Stephen come on. I think it's, how
How
much
about
better.
Dustin?
I think you forgot about me. But that's okay.
Yeah. Captain Stump. Why do they call him Captain? Do you know?
Yes, I was actually a captain of Ken Hovind's father's Marine Battalion. I was actually captain of that battalion back
You
in the
died.
Second World War. That's right.
Okay, that's impressive.
You didn't survive.
Yeah, what the worst bit would be is to
look. Stop
not
poking holes in Stump's story, Big Bad Mama. Why don't you just believe him at his word?
Yeah, the worst
Can we
would
have
be
Dustin here tonight with us?
I don't see him anywhere. The worst thing would be not to survive your platoon, right? And then to be stuck for eternity with Kent Hovind, and you just get rid of the father, and then you're stuck for eternity with Hovind in heaven somewhere. God.
Oh God.
All I'm trying to say is, every once in a while, 100% casualty rate is warranted. That's all I'm trying to say in this particular situation. But that's Stump's saying that, so you can't give Aiden any trouble for that. That's Stump's opinion, not Aiden.
I wanted to hear the Dustin imitation.
Well, I know that you've been trying to get it this entire time, Big Bad Mama, but that doesn't just mean that I'm just going to be your little dancing organ monkey that just does whatever you want whenever you say it, okay?
That's very good.
I want you to do the Ken Hovind voice. Here we go, doing the dance routine. I mean, like, come on now. Come on. At least put a quarter in the machine first.
Didn't the father survive because he was I can't comment. We don't know the truth about it. Some have
Not
said
because he was a coward.
but I don't know. Kent does tend to exaggerate. He's from a family of engineers and academics. His mother was a kindergarten teacher, but and his father worked on the assembly line at. So
General Motors.
That's morphed into being an academic, educationalist and a fully, blown engineer. So yeah. Ghost has come on board with us, and yeah.
Thanks to Ghost.
What is the difference?
Ghost.
Sorry to be late.
Have you got a note?
You're doing some good work.
Yeah, we were saying that. Okay, what is the difference between an I-286 and Kent? What is an I-286? Anybody know?
I don't.
Here goes the answer. An I-286 can be useful. Right, so we are lost on the translation of that joke, are we? Yeah. Yeah. Never mind. Maybe Karibo can explain it.
Explain
And
it, Karibo.
I too.
And they say he ran away. Oh, to be in? To be in or not to be in? That is the question. Oh, nobody got that one either. I'll just shut up now and we'll go back to Aiden. Ghost.
So we're going to have the show, Claude, in a couple days then about the evidence for special creation.
Yes, that would be really good. And the special guests, hopefully, will come along, and maybe Aiden can organize for Stump and Hovand and
We're
Stephen
going to try to
be
get
on the
Mark
guest.
Reed on board.
Oh, he'd be really good. Yes.
Friday?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it. I of course Google it. Google it.
Right.
Tell
An I-286 is a computer from the 80s. So
Oh,
now I get it. Hello. So what's the difference? And Hovand and I-286 being useful. And yes, that's very good.
got it,
So,
got it.
thank you. and Microsoft. Now, Mr. Ghost, have
Yeah.
you quite exhausted because you've had a big few days of hosting? Or have you managed okay?
That's okay.
Yeah. We're just saying it's very good. We like the way the shows are hosted.
Oh,
You know?
thank
I get a bit annoyed every now and then, but remember, I am half the time I'm acting too. You know?
Oh.
I can be offended like the best of them. You know.
Well,
What?
all I ask for the show is that I get half the time. That's all I ask.
One
Well,
topic at a time.
yeah. Half my brain tied behind my back. Not that I know how you do that.
Well, you can do it. We can do plenty with even with one hand tied behind your back. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if it's a big hand, I suppose. Or, well, no, I don't want to think about the alternative.
Well, you
No.
know what they say about having big hands.
No. What do they?
Yeah, can you explain?
This
Please
is another
explain that.
lecture I'm going to have to give after the show, unfortunately.
This isn't a family show.
No.
Oh, okay. It's not a family show. Well, if you got big hands, you got a big dick.
You can say
Ah,
that. You can say
You're
that
not-
word.
You're not. You can say.
I can
dick on
finally
this
be my
show.
real self. Oh my god, it's so exhausting being this like upright Baptist character around all these people. I just want to be my true self every once in a while, you know?
Now, Tubian is coming up with a song. Branded, scorned is the one who ran. What do you do when you're branded, but you know Kent's a man? Now, what's that song is alluding to? Do you think?
Well, I think you know what that song's alluding to, Claude. I think you know
Really?
very well what that's alluding to.
Oh, oh, I didn't know.
It's in the Bible, bro.
Oh. I don't spend all my life reading the Bible instead of flying kites with my kids.
Well, neither do I. I don't spend my life reading the Bible either. I spend my life doing live streams that 30 people watch. Not at the same time, of course. That's like 3 days after I've uploaded the stream.
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, Kent invited me to debate tonight.
Oh, who are you
on
going
his
to debate?
show. He said he wanted Crybaby. He made a special plea at the end of his show for me to come debate before the new year.
oh,
Who were you going to debate? Were you going to debate him, or were you going
I'm
to
not
debate?
well to debate him.
I see. That would be interesting. I've never seen you in a debate format, so I'm excited to see you and Dustin have a formal debate.
Oh God, this is so exhausting. Even having a discussion. So I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Well,
I mean, the debate's basically just gonna go. I'm gonna poke a bunch of holes in what you believe, Big Bad Mama, and then when you try to make commentary on what I believe, I'm just gonna go. Well, I'm not an expert.
I like talking to him.
I mean,
like
I'm
talking to
afraid of
Dustin.
being wrong because I recognize that, the basis of my whole ideology is basically on the equivalent of quicksand, but that's not the point of why I'm here right now, Big Bad Mama. Stop trying to change the topic.
So, does he want to debate Crybaby or?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, he wants to
Crybaby.
debate
All right.
Crybaby.
Oh, well.
It's not going to happen.
No, it's sort of, yeah, I realize why not. It's not worth, especially when it's his choice of moderator.
I think it would be on his. Yeah, he didn't. I don't know what he was proposing really, but it's kind of funny. It made me chuckle.
Did Sandra contact you or?
No, but did you see Sandra emailed me back?
Yes,
I sent that to you.
Yes. Yeah, so,
I'm on pretty good terms with Sandra.
Yeah.
I never get debate challenges anymore for some reason. I don't know why. I never get them anymore.
Oh God.
We still need to get the debate that you did, Aiden. So we still need to find that.
I know, it was such a good debate. I
It's a
legitimately
lost
had so much
classic.
fun with it. I had so much fun with it, and now it's gone, all because of a certain individual.
Brett Keane has it.
No, he does. It's in one of
Yeah.
the many hard drives he certainly has, like in a desk drawer somewhere. But the fact that he refuses I've said it before, but like if I totally face planted in that debate and Kent utterly destroyed me and trounced me, he would have been the first person to re-release that debate. So I think even he knows that I totally crushed that.
Oh, you debated Kent?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Aiden debated Kent. Was it on Brett's show?
It was on Brett's show, yep.
Okay.
I've only talked to him on Proverbs Guy's show. It didn't end well.
Yeah. Long story short, and Big Bad Mama can verify this, Kent literally ended up ducking out at the very end because he needed to go and drive the side-by-side around for a bit. He had a long day.
Oh.
He bailed, and then Chris Baker took his place. And I think Aiden continued debating Chris Baker for a while. And then the discussion got to the finances of DAL, and Chris Baker, I think, in that same stream, admitted that Steve Lynn had stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Aiden?
No, you're right. I remember that vividly. I do. He was in a pink shirt, and he was talking all about how, Steve Lynn had jacked all this money, and they weren't even. He said that he wasn't even sure how much he had taken because the finances for DAL were so muddy at that point in time that he can't even be certain, is what I recall him saying.
And then Chris had to head off early too because he had to meet some women at the gates. But anyway,
I had to meet my girlfriend.
Justin is asking you, have you gotten Kent's letter, BBM, the rebuttal one?
Justin, so that's what I emailed Sandra about, and she said she couldn't get it. And even though Kent said it should be available electronically to people, she said she couldn't get it.
Oh, Big Bad Mama. You know that Chris Baker goes on Steven's show a lot?
I saw him. I did see him recently. He's kind of a boring individual.
He really is. I tried talking with him. You were right, Big Bad Mama. I started debating with him, and I didn't use all of my A material with Kent because I wasn't able to. He left before I was able to, like a brave person does. But I asked Chris Baker, I asked him the same question I did to Dustin the other day about the head louse, and he gave the most non-answer I've ever heard to that question ever.
The head louse. Who's the head louse there?
That'd be
Man,
Who's
me.
taken over
Man.
from Steve Lynn? Who's taken over from Steve Lynn as the head louse?
Well, I mean, you're right. They covertly siphon off all of your nutrients and energy, and then at the very end, it would almost be like if you had head lice, but at the very end, you tried covering it up because it was embarrassing for you to have head lice. That
Oh,
head lice
dear.
never existed. I don't see any evidence for that head lice.
Oh dear, Chris.
Yes.
The
Were
guy
you
who-
were you there?
Tubian's
Were you on my
Tubian's
scalp?
right.
Mm. Oh my goodness, that whole thing about Steve Lynn was so avoidable. If Kent had listened to either of Mrs. Hovind II or Mrs. Hovind III, both knew what was going on with Steve, and it was other people got kicked out, but not Steve. It's just bizarre.
He didn't get drug tested either.
No, so he must have had something over Hovind or
Right.
on him. He would have had to have in order to have stayed. And then there seemed to be the last straw was that drug-induced midnight visit to DAL where he revealed that Kent had the hot tub. We didn't know about that before. and he was driving
For some
that
reason, he
Jeep.
wanted to keep that under wraps. He wasn't all
Yeah.
that proud of that hot tub for some reason. It's almost like he
No,
realizes
yeah.
that proves that he's full of shit. I don't know.
Yeah, and then of course after that they said they had someone had donated a Jeep to them. Well, I think that was the Jeep that got paid for with their money in the first place.
It wasn't the Jeep that Chris Lynn stole.
No, that was a different one. That was
Okay.
a truck in a car park that got stolen.
It was a truck.
That was
okay.
that was different again. So
Remember when
Yeah,
he was
you-
going to buy a fire truck?
yes,
Yes.
Right. That's right.
Like, and I kid you not, this was literally less than a month passed between when he was called out for harassing people, not complete strangers, might I add. He knocked on a complete stranger's door and kept harassing them over and over again about buying this fire truck, even though they had nothing to do with the fire truck. And then less than a month later, he made a video about how we're broke. We don't have any money left for the ministry, unfortunately. So we're going to need you to send in some more donations. We need Chris Jones to grease the wheels for our ministry again a little bit here. So
He always has something going on. I mean, he was going to build the world's largest dinosaur, and that went on for several weeks, I think. Asking for donations.
it's
Yeah,
like
there never
it's like
seems-
when somebody casually acts like, I'm going to take up woodworking, and then they leave it behind after a couple of weeks. The only difference is that when most people take up a woodworking habit, they don't ask a bunch of random strangers to donate to fund their woodworking habit. So
Right.
just a slight difference.
or their habit of spending days riding around on side by sides. Imagine if he was working instead of driving side by sides and playing video games and stuff like that.
When
I've heard that Sandra's an expert at woodworking. I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
when I went there, Kent dropped whatever he was doing, and he took me in the side by side right that moment, like without any, like he just dropped what he was doing immediately. It was
I have to
interesting.
ask, what-
He doesn't have
What
anything
is a
actually
side-by-side?
serious going on in his life. That's why he can. People who have nothing but free time have the freedom to just drop whatever they're doing at that moment and go do something with somebody.
Exactly. He didn't wait
So
till
do you-
anybody else showed up. Other people showed up.
Justin talks about Kent going around town like a preacher from Poltergeist 2. I don't remember. I know the name of the movie, but I can't remember that. But of course, Gangster Ghost would have seen it, no doubt.
Yeah. Well,
Was
he's
there a
tried
creepy-
making the claim. He's tried making the claim that people in his community, have basically been told about all these lies, quote unquote, about his ministry from other people online, and that's the reason why everybody in Lennox can't stand his very presence. No, that's not true, Kent. You've been in Lennox for like half a decade, almost going on a decade at this point, if my math serves me correct. So the fact that you've been there that long, I'm pretty sure no online person would be able to subvert somebody's expectations of you if they've met you in real life. So that's just a bunch of crap.
Yeah, I believe the gas station attendants. I mean, they're those women at the gas station were telling the truth about Kent.
Brett Kane also compared him to the poltergeist creature.
Really?
Yeah, that was during one of his 1 week anti-Kent phases before he flipped back. It's almost like if Judas kept trying to collect on that 30 pieces of silver like 5 or 6 separate times. Like he just keeps going back to the Roman officials. He's like, "Hey, I found another criminal situation." It's like Jesus has been dead for a week. Judas, go back to your home. I'm telling you, he's back in the situation.
And then they wouldn't do any favors for Brett, Matt Powell, or Kent, and so he just turned on him immediately when he wasn't getting any new subscribers or anything out of it.
Well, yeah, he desperately wanted to either have Kent as a regular guest on his show, or he was really pushing hard for Kent to have him almost like as a sub-host on his show. I remember him talking about that with me on numerous occasions, where he was like talking about how he was going to jockey for a position. He literally told me at one point, he was like, this whole thing I'm doing with Kent Hovind, I'm just trying to gain his confidence to get in his inner circle, and then I'll expose his ministry for what it really is. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the first half of that plot is correct. Like, I'm pretty sure the first half where you gain all the influence and attention and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that was part of your plan, but I'm pretty sure if Kent Hovind started greasing your wheels, Brett, you would be right next to Sandra in that woodworking profession.
Oh, yes.
Now, I'm just trying to explore that as a person, English is a second language. If you say that a woman is good at working the wood, does that have a different meaning?
Yeah, it means they're good at play. It means it's good. They're good at stimulating their penis. That's what.
Oh,
that's what it means.
no! Oh, I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, you did.
Sure, Claude. Yeah, that's
You
not what
asked
you were
for it.
getting at.
Yeah,
You walked right into that one, buddy.
So I suppose could take on the role of a woodpecker. Is that possible?
Painful.
Well, that brings up the morning wood, Kent's morning wood.
Oh, yes,
comment.
it does.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, is that a gun in your pocket? No.
Wait, he made a morning wood comment.
Well, he
I
said Cindy saw Steve Lynn with a gun, and Kent said that wasn't a gun. Steve had just gotten up, and he had morning wood, and
It's true.
it was
what he said.
ridiculous.
Well, that clears the whole thing up. That clears
Right.
the whole thing up. I'm sure Ken has no issue with the fact that another man is overtly sitting there erect next to his wife. It doesn't seem like he did have much of a problem with that.
No,
I feel like maybe those three visited a motel room or two, and Kent was the one sitting at the chair. If you get my drift.
I don't get your drift.
I mean, he's a cuckold. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh. I think
Should I be
Kent
worried?
at that
I
stage would
am.
have he would have done anything to have got rid of her. So that probably would have. But oh my goodness, what a dreadful person that Steve Lynn was, though. And then what he did
Totally.
to that secretary, Julie.
Oh, Julie.
Well,
Yeah, Julie Shunk.
She's naive, but she is a lovely person, genuine person.
Yeah.
And I can only think, to have, I won't mention exactly what happened, I think we all know, and that he got her there, obviously fed her some booze, maybe even worse, and they end up in the sack. And that's just appalling, and of course Hovind
That
then uses
alone.
that to his advantage and rubs it in.
Well,
so
he
to
tried.
Yeah.
He tried basically putting all of that on Julie, and
Yeah.
none of the responsibility ended up landing on Steve somehow.
It's just bizarre. That is just terrible. And he tried to use it to get her to shut up about. I have great admiration for Julie and Nick. They stood up to that band. They gave their all to that place for a couple of years. She was the lady in the audience, always like going, "Wow, wow, wow."
Oh my God, I remember
one?
that.
Remember that? Yeah, that was Julie. So she really had a great deal of respect and love for him, and and then eventually saw through it. So, just
I mean,
another
like,
casualty.
as far as she's concerned, like,
I give everybody the benefit of the doubt as long as I can. Like you can ask Big Bad Mama and Logan. Like for the longest time, I was even giving people like Steven the benefit of the doubt for a while before I eventually just got fed up with him and realized who he really was. So, like when it comes to Julie, the fact she made a mistake is fine because she admitted to that mistake and moved on from that mistake, having grown from it as a person. And that takes courage. It takes genuine courage and conviction to be introspective enough to recognize that you've done wrong and actually learn and grow from that. And that's why people like Kent are so terrified of doing that. And I feel like the biggest reason for why he's so scared of going down that path is because he's been down this path of deception for so long at this point that he basically knows nothing else. Like I feel like if he genuinely wanted to bare his soul to anybody, it would be at whatever pastor happens to be at his deathbed, because then at the very least nobody ever gets to find out what a piece of crap Kent really is. Like, and that's not even to say I don't think the man has any redeeming qualities. Like, for the missing mods and whatnot out there, I'm sure Kent Hovind has redeeming qualities about him. I don't think that he's just this fire-spitting demonic creature. But the point that you always seem to miss when we criticize him is the fact that it literally says in your book that if he's going to be a minister and a person who's a figurehead in your community, he's supposed to be beyond reproach. Okay, we're not supposed to be able to make these sorts of comments about him. Any sort of bishop or any sort of priest or pastor is literally supposed to live a life where anybody who says things about them would have to be lying, and he fails to do that. And you never ever acknowledge that, no matter how many times it's brought up to you.
Well, they're in a cult, regardless of if they're in the facility, if they're in the compound or not. I mean, there's just a lot of people in the Hovind cult. And he's been a success at being a con man for decades now. And that's how he makes that's his career at this point. I mean, it has been.
Tubian323 said, they said, yeah, okay. Now kiss her real slow. Yeah. Okay. Now, Sandra, talk about the whale's penis.
This is something to add to the Kama Sutra. By the sounds of it.
The Kenta Sutra, you mean?
Yeah.
I probably have 4 videos of Kent talking about whale penises.
That Wyatt guy will never shut up about it. Every time I talk with him, all he wants to talk about is Kent Hovind's obsession with whale cock.
Oh dear! Oh, I'm cracking up, or up cracking, whatever you want to say.
Just a fair warning. I'm on like 8%, so if I leave at any point, my phone probably died. So
that's okay. We've had a very good run with you tonight. And what is your fee?
Well, I mean, I did like what? I probably did like 10 or 12 separate impressions. So at 25 cents per impression, that's like $2.50.
Can you do Achilles before you go?
What was that?
Yeah, we miss him.
Achilles?
Well, if you want the truth, then I know that you want at least part of you, Big Bad Mama, wants the truth because you are trying to invoke me into the conversation. And the fact that I am here now will go to show that I am the way and the truth and that's a different person. Wait. Kent Hovind is the way and the truth and the life, and no man may come to know the Father, that Father being Brady Byram, but him.
Thank you.
Claude,
I'll be here all week, folks.
Yeah.
are you having? Yeah, you guys having a show Friday?
I'm not sure. When is your show?
I think you are, Logan.
Yeah, I mean we're having a show Friday.
I was gonna say, is the evidence for special creation going to be on Logan's or Claude's channel?
Logan's at this stage, yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Friday at 7:30 will be. Is that
Is that at night or PM or AM? You
PM?
just have to PM. Yeah, that's okay.
Sunday, I want to let Mark know.
Yeah, I think Mark would be a really interesting addition to the conversation. Like, I give Mark credit where he deserves. Mark and Christian are two people that, you know, you could hammer at their points for 5 hours straight, which I have on an occasion or two, especially with Mark. And do I disagree with the points that he has to make? Yes, I do. But at the very least, not only is he consistent with the points that he makes, but he has the courage to actually stand on the conviction and what he believes. And that's why I have no doubt that Mark Stoney is a Christian or Christian Pike is a Christian. I do doubt that, Stephen Bolin or Achilles or Stump are Christians because, like I said, they bend basically on every single issue except for whether God exists or not. Anything else besides that, it's basically perfectly fine, and they're willing to put that aside for the sake of taking atheists down. But I've seen Mark basically get in pretty heated arguments with people I thought, if he had that same mentality as them, he would never raise a finger against either anybody in our community. But he's basically argued with every single one of us at one point or another. And Dustin has done the same. I think that Dustin isn't necessarily as educated on the Bible as Mark, but that's not a problem. I don't think that's inherently an issue. It just goes to show that they have different interests.
I think Logan's talking about Mark Reed, but
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Mark's-
sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm
Mark
sorry.
Stoney's not a bad idea though to have on the show, so I think that's a good idea too.
I wish Dustin would stop being afraid of being wrong. I really do, because everybody
Right.
is wrong at one point or another. Like, he's worried about getting the Bible wrong. I mean, I've gotten scientific facts wrong before,
Yeah,
and you
but
never saw me just totally fall apart when I do. I just recognize I made a mistake.
I get, at the same time, I get why. I mean, just for one thing, you have of course, not all atheists are as forgiving for, especially theists making mistakes. as
Dustin,
we have
I'm sorry,
shown
Deviant.
here. No, sorry. And he also has the Christian side, the Proverbs guys who are going to judge him for being wrong. So I understand.
Well, I think that's
why.
the real
It's a
That's
shame.
the real thing. That's the real
that's
thing.
the real
right,
sword of
and that's
Damocles that's over his head right now.
exactly. So I get why. It's a shame. It's a shame. But I also have to say that when it comes to other things, he has admit. It's not like he can't admit he's wrong. It's the Bible stuff that maybe is sensitive.
Right. It has nothing to do with the atheists. It's all Proverbs guys and his so-called friends over there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm really trying to make him. I'm really trying to make him understand this. That, like, how can they be his friends if he's constantly looking over his shoulder, constantly worried about making the slightest mistake over the slightest issue? Like, that's not an atmosphere conducive of friendship. That's an atmosphere conducive of control.
Yeah.
And they've got
Yeah.
his hooks in him at this point. They've got him worried enough at this point over their opinion over him that he's just not willing to engage on it. And that wasn't always the case. I've heard Dustin's opinion about creation before in the past. It wasn't very often. It was once or twice at like the very beginning of us talking, but he was not as standoffish about this as at the very beginning. This is definitely something he's developed.
Don't you think it stems from when Stephen chewed him out that time?
Oh, absolutely. He's when he's challenged on this, he sees that exact same scenario playing out again in his head.
Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah, and it speaks to the
It's
abusive powers that's kind of inherent in
Well, he manipulates him. That's all that it is.
Yeah.
It's Steven manipulating Dustin's emotions in a way that he tried to get Logan. Like, Steven ideally wanted Logan under the exact same thumb as Dustin, where he wouldn't have his own opinions. And if he did have his own opinions, he'd keep them to himself because he'd be too afraid of getting pounced on by the rest of the group to be able to express them. And people like me and Mark Stoney shut that down in its tracks. And now, surprise, surprise, Logan's got a community that's actually conducive to free thought.
Oh, thank you.
Well, no problem. I'm happy to have been there and to have called his crap out for what it was. But like, Dustin needs to realize that he's basically going through the exact same process that he tried subjecting Logan to. And I'm not.
Dustin
That's
just
not to
did what
say
he
that
was
Dustin's
told. Dustin
stupid.
didn't even know what he was doing when he did that.
Well, I don't think that he's stupid. Like, Dustin, if you're listening to this after the fact, I'm not calling you stupid right now.
I'm just
really
muting
not.
myself. You carry on talking. I have to mute for a minute.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm not calling you stupid right now, Dustin. All I'm saying is that you, like literally everyone else on this planet, are manipulable. Somebody out there is capable of saying a certain set of nouns and verbs to get you to do certain things and make you think that it's your choice that you're making. But it's just simply not the case. Like, I've had people in my life manipulate me, manipulate my feelings, and make me think that I'm thinking a certain way when really it's someone else making me feel that way. And it's a hard thing to get out of, but I can definitely say that I'm the better for having realized I was being manipulated.
Oh yeah.
They said we were paying off Logan, right, Logan?
We were paying him off?
The atheists are paying him.
Yeah, he said I work for the atheists. Steven said.
He just said that
I'm gonna
like
face palm them.
yesterday.
That slapped them around.
I just feel like that's them huffing copium at that point. Well, Logan didn't buy into our bullshit ideas, so surely he must be getting paid.
Of course.
Like, that's just pure copium at that point, that things didn't work out the way they wanted them to.
Right.
It's like Stump when I was talking when I was responding to him in the chat earlier, and he said recognizing the truth in the chat or something like that. It's like, isn't it crazy how everything that your opponents say or do just somehow winds up being beneficial to you? Because if you look at both sides of the fence and both of the sides have green grass, that's universally the case of someone who you can tell is dealing with intellectual honesty.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't know. I found it silly. And I mean, Logan, I've always told you that you're your own man and you can do whatever you want. But I'm just expressing my opinion when I say, when Stump comes into your show and he says the things that he is attempting to manipulate you.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
He's attempting to basically bring you over to their side and start viewing us as others.
And
Like
it
the
has
mother? Oh, sorry.
No,
maybe maybe Stump thinks that he's doing the right thing by doing that. I mean, you never know. Maybe he's not being completely devious about it. Maybe he believes that he is trying to save a soul or what have you. But it is control. It's control, pure and simple.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think he does have good intentions. Like, I think in his mind, he does think that he's doing the right thing, but I think the right thing has become such a warped concept to him at this point, where, he's become so disconnected from what that is, to the point where he's talking about how atheists are nothing but hate-filled people in the midst of his tirade against atheists.
Yep.
Right. I've never seen that guy laugh or, barely even smile.
Well, him and Achilles, both of them, like they always talk about how, you know, their lives are so much better and they've changed for the good after they converted. And it's like, really? It doesn't exactly look like they've changed for the better. You're a horrifically miserable person.
Looking
Sorry,
forward to
can you catch
Doomsday.
me up? Who are we talking about looking forward to Doomsday? Is that...
Stump and Achilles.
Oh, yeah. Stump is very... He just sounds like the end of the world is near, doesn't he?
Well, they're just so subdued and defeated by the world around them. And that just does not come across to me as the attitude of somebody who's been saved and who recognizes that this beautiful paradise is coming in their near future. It speaks to me of somebody that has had a very tortured existence, and Christianity has been the closest thing to a refuge they've been able to find at this point in their life. And hey, if that's your refuge that you personally have chosen, then that's fine. I would never criticize you for taking solace in that. But me criticizing the truthfulness of what you're saying is different than me saying that you're allowed to have that belief. That's the fundamental thing I think these people don't understand, is they think when we're criticizing their beliefs and we're criticizing their way of thinking, they're thinking that we're like trying to prevent them from having that opinion and we're trying to censor them in some way, shape, or form. And they know that that's not true because they employ the exact same tactic against us. They employ the exact same tactic of trying to debunk or disprove our points of view wrong. And I'm pretty sure at least 90% of them don't have this idea that they're just going to wipe atheism off the planet. So it's just a classic example of a cognitive dissonance, of applying one set of standards and logic to one group of people and applying a different set of standards of logic to a different group of people under the exact same circumstance.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
would
sure
just like
they
to see
are.
them happy, you know.
Yeah.
They seem like people who have this. They're not enjoying life here and now. They're just
Right.
like waiting for the afterlife, for some promised.
Aiden, you know what Steven said on the show? He says, something about like he glad to meet them Armageddon, I guess.
What?
Yeah, it's like he said something that was crazy. That he's proud to know these guys during Armageddon.
Oh, like his
Armageddon?
fellow Christians.
Yeah, the people on his show. Yeah, that's what he said.
Well,
Does he
I
think
find it
that
incredibly funny
Armageddon
that they
is real
talk
now?
about that because they're talking about a deity that on Judgment Day, if he is in fact real, he'll see through all of their pretense. Okay, he'll see
Right.
through all of their contradictions. He'll see through all of their lies and nonsense and misgivings. And that is, to me, the strongest evidence that they don't actually believe any of this shit. They don't actually believe any of this shit. I mean, maybe they do to a certain extent, but I think they compartmentalize those two things from each other. Like they just think, well, you know, God will understand why I was a liar. God will understand why I contradicted myself every 2 seconds because I was trying to serve his kingdom. And guess what? There's actually there's a specific passage in the Bible about those exact people. And Mark has brought this up. The people who on Judgment Day will say to Jesus, you know, I look at all the demons I cast out in your name and all the times I preached in your name. And all that he'll say to them in response is, depart from me, I never knew you. Because he knows their hearts.
Right.
So if what they're saying is true, then they are shooting themselves in the foot before the starting line and pretending like it's not going to affect them in the race.
And that's cognitive dissonance at work.
Well, and yeah, like individually, it's up to them whether or not they want to ascribe to that point of view. It's when they try getting other people to fall in line with their point of view, and they try forcing that point of view onto other people by applying social pressure to make sure they fall into that line.
That's when I start taking real serious issues with them beyond just criticizing the validity of their ideas. That's when I start calling that an insidious thing to do.
Oh yeah.
And
Agreed.
what's that, sorry?
It's agreed. I agree.
Well, I mean, like, these are people who follow a book that says to be nothing but humble and to pray in your closet if you're not at church. And these are people who think that when they start a webcam and they start up a YouTube show, that's church. You know, them sitting around and talking into a webcam, that's the exact same thing as the sanctified thing that was talked about in the Bible.
Oh yeah, and it will for sure save them from all of their bad doings and misdeeds and the stumbles and whatnot, for sure. Because
It's just live action role playing. Is really what it is in my mind. It really is. It's just a group of people who are like, all right, well, I'm going to make the rules to this game, and you can agree with my rules up to a certain point. But if you disagree with the rules, then you're not allowed to play the game anymore. And it's like, well, could we just look at reality? Could we maybe we could put the game down for a moment and we could just observe objective reality for what it is and see whether or not it correlates with what you're doing. Like, I'm sure when you're sitting there with your wizard hat chanting lightning bolt 37 times, you're really immersed in what you're doing. But maybe take the hat off for a moment and look around and realize you're just in a park right now.
No,
Yeah,
you're
but they've
gonna have
stuck
to roll a
themselves with
T20 for that
calling
one.
themselves. Oh, I'm sorry, Deviant.
I just said you're gonna have to roll a T20 for that one.
A D21 with how likely it seems, honestly.
They call it a ministry. I mean, that's where they really, I mean, by labeling themselves a ministry, they've kind of stuck themselves in this self-important role. And it's going to be hard for them to break out of that. Because
They're a ministry that goes through an identity crisis every few months where they go, you know, we shouldn't have atheists on the show. Well, maybe we should have atheists on the show. Well, maybe we shouldn't. Well, maybe you should because you're a ministry. All right. If you're going to be a ministry, then that's slightly different than just being a biblical study group. Right.
Right.
And their response to that is basically, oh, well, we'll allow atheists on that we haven't talked to yet or haven't already dealt with. It's like, oh, okay, so you're going to deal with people who haven't been, you know, greased into this community and who don't know all of the misdeeds that you guys have done before. I'm sure those are a lot easier people to convert, but it just goes to show their actual priorities.
Let the games begin. That's what Stephen said before.
I feel like that's what Steven says every time before he fires up his computer to do a stream.
Sit down his shoulder the other night when he wanted the aces on there. So let the games begin, and then he doesn't.
And nobody showed up, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, like that speaks for itself. I guarantee you that he wanted Mark Reed on that show. Like, I will bet you all of the money in my bank account that he wanted Mark Reed to be there so that he could get a clip of where I look at these humble Christians on this tiny channel absolutely destroying Mark Reed. I mean, like, that was the clip he wanted from that encounter, and he didn't get it.
They wanted Atheist Junior on there too. They said they wanted Mark Reed and Atheist Junior on there.
I'm shocked. You know, for one, I'm quite shocked over the notion that they wanted, you know, giant attractors within our community in terms of views on their show. It's like,
in all their humbleness.
Well, why are they debating what they think is the objective truth? Is really what I want to know. Like, if you think that this is just irrefutably true and there's nothing that the other person can say to actually change your mind on that, then why are you wasting your time doing this for literally any other purpose besides getting views?
No, but it's to save others. That's what's important.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It's
to save others by making them be in the comments section or banning them from the comments section if they become too critical and not allowing them on the show. That's going to win over a lot of fucking souls.
And call them evil. Don't forget, that one is the most important.
That's critical. Yeah, that's critical. You've got to browbeat them enough until they finally submit to your way of thinking.
Yep.
Aren't they
And
just
that's
using the
I
Kent
think
Hovind
that's why
model?
Dustin, that's the biggest thing that he's kind of having trouble with right now is he's used to being in a community that browbeats him for being wrong and who criticize him every single time he steps a toe out of line as far as like serious biblical doctrines. So it's like getting a dog that's, and I'm not trying to be diminutive here. This is just the best example I could think of. It's like getting a dog that's been abused by its previous owner. Of course it's going to be skittish. Of course it's going to be skittish, and it's not going to want to be upfront with its next owner because it's just been used to nothing but being mistreated. So,
And I mean, that's sure, you use the dog as an example, but that is exactly how abused people behave. I know.
well, it's just simple pattern recognition. If you do this thing and a bad thing happens to you often enough, it doesn't matter who it is that you're interacting with anymore to a certain point. The only thing your brain looks at a certain point is, well, I'm doing that bad thing.
Yeah, of course. It's we're communal. Gregarious animals, social animals.
Mm-hmm.
We
Well, that's why
need each other.
ostracization. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we need each other. So when we fear to be ostracized, as you said, then we go into survival mode because we need other people to survive. So
Oh.
there's nothing wrong or.
I think the Christians came up with a brilliant innovation in the early history of the church when they decided that when someone is made anathema in the church, they don't kill that person. They just ostracize them from the rest of the community. That might have been the most brilliant move that Christianity as a religion did. Because if you kill somebody, they become a martyr. All of a sudden, that person can be a symbol of that group. And they can be used as a rallying cry. I mean, Christians, if anybody, understand the power of a martyr. So they recognized if we just otherize this person and we push them to the fringes of the community and just make them so irrelevant to the point where no one's even talking about them anymore, that's going to be a way more powerful tool to keep us on message than being violent towards people.
Oh yeah, and it's extremely powerful.
Well, and I mean, especially at a time in history, like for the majority of Christian history, your local community was where the buck stopped in terms of where you knew people and where you would get support. Like your local village was basically it. So to be ostracized in medieval Europe is almost as bad as being killed, because now all of a sudden none of the merchants will sell anything to you, or they'll sell it to you at an extremely inflated price that you can't afford. And none of your priest won't talk to you anymore, and everybody that goes to the church with that priest knows that you're now someone that's not to be dealt with. So you can't go to your uncle to get those turnips like you did every time. Like, it's basically as bad for all intents and purposes in the medieval world as being killed.
It's even worse than being killed. I mean, because you have to live through it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You have to know every single moment of every single day that you making this supposed mistake is the cause for why you're living a life as miserable as it is. And when you really look at the actual like the actual material of what that person is saying, they're just trying to express themselves and how they really feel. But that's heresy. You can't have that. You can't actually express what you feel if it goes against the doctrines and dogma of the church. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Aiden, and Big Claude and Alcaz, thank you for helping me on. I have to go.
That's all good. Yeah, I've got to go within a minute here myself. I'll make a final statement before I go. But it was really good seeing you, Logan.
Good seeing you.
It's always nice having you around.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're an awesome person, Logan. You should know that.
No, he is. And he's not an awesome person because of what he does for us. He's an awesome person because he has a great personality.
Oh, thank you. Claude, you there?
I think Claude might have stepped away.
Okay.
Yeah, he's muted himself.
Accidentally muted myself. Don't you let that go to your head, gangster ghost. You do what you're told on my share. Hmm? Yeah, look, yeah, Baghdad Mama's going too. So I think we've had a good go today. It's been fun, and we will do another show another day, and we look forward to the one where the creationists will bring their evidence for special creation. The shoe will be on the other foot, so that's gonna be good.
Oh, I'm giddy. I'm giddy.
Oh, my giddy aunt. Okay, goodbye, everybody. See
Bye.
you again. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.